The night was bitterly cold, the kind of cold that seemed to seep into your bones and make every breath ache. The streets were quiet, a thin mist rolling along the empty sidewalks. At a dimly lit bus stop, a young soldier sat alone, her duffel bag at her feet, her hands trembling not just from the chill but from exhaustion. Her eyes, those weary, distant eyes, were fixed on the ground, like she had nowhere to go, and maybe she didn't. David, a single dad in his mid-30s, drove past in his old pickup truck. He had just gotten off a late shift at the mechanic shop and was heading home to his little boy, Ethan, who was probably fast asleep by now. But something about the figure at the bus stop caught his attention. The uniform, the slumped shoulders, the loneliness. He slowed down, pulled over, and for a moment just sat behind the wheel, watching. There was something in that soldier's face that reminded him of the men and women he'd served with years ago. He wasn't a stranger to war. David was a veteran himself, a man who knew what it was like to come home and feel like you didn't belong anywhere. He saw the weight she carried, and he couldn't just drive away. He stepped out, walked over slowly, and said in a firm but gentle voice, "You're coming with me." The soldier looked up, startled, her eyes filled with suspicion. "Excuse me," she whispered, clutching her bag. "I'm not leaving you out here like this," David said. "It's freezing. You need a place to stay. I've got an extra room. It's nothing fancy, but it's warm. Come on." For a moment she hesitated, torn between pride and desperation. Finally, with a trembling sigh, she nodded. "All right," she said softly. And just like that, a single dad and a broken soldier began a journey neither of them expected. On the ride home, silence filled the cab. David kept stealing glances at her. Her name was Claire, she eventually told him. She had just come back from overseas a few weeks ago, but things hadn't gone as she planned. Her family had moved on, her fiancé had left, and the world she thought she'd come back to simply wasn't there anymore. She had been bouncing from couch to couch, from shelters to bus stops, with no direction. David listened, and his heart ached. He knew that emptiness. After his wife passed away 5 years ago, he had felt just as lost. Raising Ethan alone hadn't been easy. Some nights he sat at the kitchen table staring at bills, wondering how he was going to keep the lights on. But he had promised his son one thing: no matter how tough life got, they would stick together, and he would never give up. When they arrived, Ethan woke up and came rubbing his sleepy eyes. "Daddy, who's that?" he asked, looking at Claire. "This is Claire," David said, kneeling down to Ethan's level. "She's going to stay with us for a while. She's a soldier. She's very brave." Ethan's eyes widened. "A real soldier?" He smiled and ran up to Claire. "Do you have medals? Do you have stories?" For the first time that night, Claire smiled. It was small, almost fragile, but it was real. "I do," she said softly. That night, Claire slept in the extra room. She hadn't had a bed to herself in weeks. She lay awake for a long time, staring at the ceiling, wondering how she had ended up in a stranger's home and why it felt safer than anywhere else she'd been in months. Over the next few weeks, Claire slowly became part of their little family. She helped Ethan with his homework, cooked meals with David, and even laughed again. But inside, she was still fighting demons no one could see. Nightmares woke her up in a cold sweat. Loud noises made her flinch. Some days she barely spoke, retreating into herself. David noticed, but he never pushed her. Instead, he offered quiet support, the same way he wished someone had done for him when he came home broken. One evening, after Ethan had gone to bed, Claire finally opened up. She sat at the kitchen table with David, her hands wrapped around a mug of tea. "I don't know who I am anymore," she whispered. "Out there, I had a purpose. I wore the uniform, I knew what I was fighting for. But now, I'm just lost." David reached across the table and put his hand gently over hers. "You're not lost, Claire. You're just in between battles. And you're not fighting alone anymore." Her eyes filled with tears. No one had said that to her before. Still, challenges came. The town wasn't kind to outsiders. Some people whispered about why a soldier was staying at David's house. Others judged him for bringing a stranger home, especially with a child. Bills piled up, and David worried about keeping food on the table. Claire wanted to help but struggled to find work. She applied everywhere, stores, diners, offices, but most places turned her away, telling her she wasn't the right fit. The weight of rejection nearly crushed her. One afternoon, after another failed interview, she sat on the porch steps with her head in her hands. "Maybe I should just leave," she said when David came out. "I don't want to be a burden." David crouched down beside her. "Claire, you're not a burden. You're family now. And family doesn't walk away when things get hard. We figure it out together." That word family hit her like a lightning bolt. For so long, she had felt like she didn't belong anywhere. But here, in this little home with a widowed dad and a boy who adored her, she felt something she hadn't felt in years. Home. Months passed, and slowly, life began to change. Claire started volunteering at a local veterans support group. She shared her story, listened to others, and found healing in helping those who were struggling just like her. Soon, the group offered her a position, and for the first time since coming home, she had a job that gave her purpose. Ethan grew attached to her, often holding her hand at the school gates, proudly introducing her as "my soldier." And David, well, he found himself smiling more. But the biggest challenge came when Claire's past came crashing back. A former comrade of hers overdosed, and she spiraled into guilt, blaming herself for not doing more. She shut down, pulling away from everyone, drowning in sorrow. David refused to let her slip away. One night, he found her sitting on the floor of her room, tears streaming down her face. He knelt beside her, lifted her chin, and said, "Claire, listen to me. You can't save everyone. But you saved me. You saved Ethan. And right now, you're saving yourself, one day at a time. Don't forget that." Those words broke through the darkness. She clung to him, sobbing, finally allowing herself to feel the weight and release it. By the following year, their little house wasn't just a house anymore, it was a home filled with love, laughter, and second chances. Claire found healing, David found hope, and Ethan found the family he thought he had lost. And it all started on that cold night at a bus stop, when a single dad looked at a broken soldier and said, "You're coming with me." Dear friends, if this story touched your heart, share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe in second chances? Have you ever helped someone when they least expected it? Your stories inspire others. And if you're new here, make sure to subscribe to my channel, Be Kind Always, where we share powerful, emotional stories that remind us of the good still left in this world. Don't forget to hit the like button and share this video with someone who needs hope today. Because kindness doesn't just change others, it changes us too.